Hi, everybody. I just want to start a couple minutes early here to make sure that everything's kosher. You guys can hear me okay. So if you can, give me a thumbs up in the chat or something to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. See, we got Lisa and Cecilia online. Awesome. Glad you guys could join me. For sure, this is going to be super fun. I'm really excited to share Canva with you. It's a tool I absolutely love. And we got about a minute to go, so I'm hoping that my microphone is working. You guys can hear me okay. And we'll get started here in about a minute. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can see what we've got going. We'll hide that so we can't see it. Excellent. This is my first time using this webinar software, so please bear with me. I'm going to just hide these two while we're at it. Excellent. Looks good. Well, it is 3 o'clock. Welcome to the Canva Design School webinar. I'm hoping to get through workshops 1 and 2 in this hour that we have slotted out for today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and talk to you a little bit about Canva. And my picture is going to go away. Hopefully you'll still be able to hear me and everything. I'm going to go like this so you guys can see our screen here. So what in the world is the vision behind Canva? Canva is a way to design beautiful and professional graphics. They launched in 2013, and within 14 months of their launch, they had more than 1 million users creating more than 7 million designs. In October 2014, they released an iPad app. And just yesterday, they released their iPhone app. And for those of you who are on the Android side of things, I heard there's an Android app coming down the pipeline, maybe in a month or 2 or 3, depending on how well their work goes. So it's really simple. It's drag and drop design interface. They have a library of more than 1 million photos that you can use, graphics, different fonts, lots of different ways to be creative. So what can you do with Canva? Canva provides a very simple way to design. It allows you to take your vision or message and translate it into a design that you can use. And all the users have access to more than, as I said, 1 million images and graphics, and they're all beautifully designed. They have pre-made layouts for you. It's easy photo editing, filtering, like you would see maybe such as in Instagram. And they have the ability to share, to download your images and to share them publicly if you do so want to. They have a social platform involved with it. So who in the world can create with Canva? Anyone, really. Even non-designers like me can design with Canva. And their vision is to provide this intuitive tool that allows people to create beautiful and professional looking designs, eliminating the friction posed by expensive and sometimes complicated platforms like Photoshop or InDesign, or even open source programs like GIMP or other programs that you might use for photo editing. It really takes the thinking out of learning the user interface. We're going to go through that today so you can spend more time creating. Canva has a strong presence in social media, marketing, business, entrepreneurs, educational communities. So there's a ton of uses that you can use for Canva. What can you create? It allows anyone to communicate effectively with a lot of design types. You can use it for presentations for work, your pitch proposals, blog graphics, social media posts. It gives you all the tools you need to create stunning graphics that will convey your message. So our agenda today, we're going to make sure that everybody can create their account. We're going to learn about how the Canva search can work, learn about different layouts you can use, text options, background options, and how to upload your own images. So if you haven't already, you can go ahead and navigate to canva.com, canva.com, and create an account. And it allows for single sign-on with your Facebook account or with your Google login. Otherwise, you can use your email to create an account there too. If you're having problems creating an account, just feel free to send a message, and I will hopefully be able to catch your questions before too long. All right, so let's go how to create an account. Also, go ahead and create your account if you haven't already. So the first step we're going to talk about is using the search function. There are two ways to search. The first way is to use the category folders in the master panel. Those are along the side. And the second way is to perform a keyword search in their library of more than 1 million stock photos, a lot of which are free, and a lot of which are relatively inexpensive. So if you find some of their stock stuff that you have, or that you really like, each element is $1. The next thing that goes in the menu there is the grids and images. So if you're using pictures in your design, you can always use a grid, and they allow you to resize larger or smaller, or manipulate how your placement of your images are, so that you're capturing the parts of your images that are best for your overall design. One of the next things you can look for are frames. Frames are different from grids is that they have a design on the outside that goes around your photo. They are more decorative, but you can always manipulate the picture inside of it so you get just the right design that you want. They also have a lot of different icons. Their library is quite large, so if you want an alternative to using photos, their photos, your own photos, or photos that you find online, you can use their icons or infographics. So you can see in these examples, they have a little plant or the sunshine. There are tons and tons and tons of different ways that you can use their icons. So it can bring emphasis to your message, to your design. So like in these examples, the sun and the grass, they're defining kind of the sunny and nature themes of each of these designs. So in the shapes are an integral part of any design. They can be used in interesting, creative ways. You can put shapes together to form your own type of things. In the examples, they've used a shape to create a border around this the style session. So basically, they've used one large black square and one white square and put them on top of each other to create a border. In the middle section, you see that they used a really thin rectangle to create separation between the word verdant and green. And in the third example, you see that they used a triangle and a square and put them together to highlight the number 15. As you're searching, if you find a photo that you particularly like, if you hover over it with your mouse, there will be an eye that shows up in the corner. You can click on that eye and it'll show you content by that same contributor. So if you like the style of a photograph, or if you particularly like the layout or colors that it uses, click on that eye and it'll show you all the keywords and tags that go along with that person's, and you can see all the other stuff they've added to the Canva library. All right, we're gonna skip a little tutorial thing in the bottom. That's fine. All right, next thing is layouts. The nice thing about Canva is that they have fully customizable layouts, so you can modify all the text and the colors and backgrounds and all of that to suit your design needs. So you can see how these examples here, you could simply just change the text to what you want it to say instead of having the words that they give you, and you have your design ready to go. You could change anything you want about it. You could change the backgrounds, you could change the fonts, you could change the sizes. There are all sorts of ways that you can make this your own. So as you can see here, the person that is designing this has taken this original layout. They've taken basically the layout of how it works and just copied it. They've changed the background. They've changed the main word. They've put the pronunciation in there and put the definition so it fits exactly like they want. Next feature we're going to talk about is text. And when you click on the text option, there are a lot of different sizes and designs that are by default. You can change these defaults to if you want to regularly use the same font. So if you have a theme from your blog or website that you want to keep going all the time, you can put the text or the fonts in there that you really want as like your header or your title or subtitle, all of those things. So you really want a large header. You want a mid-sized subtitle, and then the smaller text is for the body copy. So the things that are more important, you want to feature larger in your design, and the details you want to draw less attention to them. So then you pull in the audience with the big text, and as they come closer to your image, they'll look for the smaller text. The keyboard shortcut, Control-T, will add text to your design. I think that might be Command-T on a Mac if you're, depending on what platform you're on. The other neat thing they have in Canva is text holders. So these are pre-designed colors and layouts for different text. If you're not quite sure how best to pair fonts, try using any of these designs that you can drag and drop into your design. Resize if you want. You can change the colors, you can change the fonts, so you can design it as you see fit to best promote your message. Going into backgrounds, if you're creating a simple text-only design, you can choose a solid colored background to provide this bold and clean backdrop. In the examples here, they have a bright blue and a really bold orange red against a I am feeling sassy. So I would maybe say that the orange color promotes this message a little better. It just says more sassy to me than blue does, kind of a warm color. We'll talk about that in the second half of our webinar here. So if you're looking for something that promotes a little more visual interest, you can choose any of the Canva backgrounds that they have. So it could be more visually interesting. It could give more depth to your design. A lot of these, well, there's a wide range. They range from more minimalist, photographic style to textures or patterns that you can use. And if you're really not satisfied with anything that they have to offer, you can upload your own images. So you can upload from your files on your computer. So one of the things that I really like to do with Canva is I go to a website called Pixabay, and all of their images are public domain, free to use for anyone who would like to. And you look for an image that you think is captivating, and you can upload that right into Canva and use that as your design. So a lot of the designs I've made in the past have backgrounds that come from public domain image websites. It also allows you to connect from Facebook. Let's see here. Oops. There we go. Like my slides mixed around a little bit. That's fine. You can upload your own images. So if you click the upload button, that'll allow you to choose from your Finder. Or you can connect to your Facebook page and it'll link to your Facebook account, and then any photos that you have uploaded in your Facebook account, you can put into Canva. So say you wanted to create a slideshow of places that you went on a trip. You could upload your photo into Canva, add some text, and really show off what you saw on your trip. All right, so some helpful tips. When you're finished designing your work, you can choose to download in a couple different ways. You can download as an image. You can download, I know that this is a little different now. You can download as a JPEG for web use, or you can download as a PNG for a more higher quality image. And you can also download as a PDF. So you can choose, if you have multiple pages within your designs, like you were creating a presentation, you can download only specific pages or all of them. And if you are sending to publish, you can include the crop marks and bleed to send in for publishing. Some other helpful tips, you can also share to Facebook and Twitter. I think this might be a little different looking right now. You'll just have to check that out when you go to check that out from the sharing menu up at top. So you can also share directly by email, or you can allow someone to share as an editable design. So you can share with someone else to edit it. And the one I skipped a little earlier, page arrangement. As I said, if you have more than one image in your design, you can move them around, click the up or down arrows. This will show up on the right side of your screen as you're looking at your image. You can also duplicate and delete the pages in your design if you would like to. All right, so now we're going to get into some of the more fun stuff, I guess, for me. So now that we've had a basic tour of the different things in Canva, now we're going to talk a little bit about the different fonts, colors, and images. So we're getting actually into workshop 2 right now. And let me pull up my notes here just a second. And we'll get started. This is the part that I really like talking about, because this is kind of the nerdy part in me where we talk about different fonts and colors. So fonts, colors, and images are important building blocks for any design. This part of the workshop is going to cover basic typographic concepts, including how to pair and apply fonts appropriately, how to navigate the color wheel to compose a color palette, and using imagery and photo filters to kind of set the tone of your design. So, why do these things matter? Font selection can be a daunting task with the endless possibilities of typefaces, weights, and sizes. When used effectively, fonts can really make your design stand out and convey your message with impact. Color relationships are fundamental to great design. Knowing how to navigate the color wheel can help beginner designers understand how to compose evocative, stunning, expressive color palettes. Finally, images capture and convey emotion in ways that can serve to evoke specific responses from your audience. So through careful selection and manipulation, you can use all of these tools to tell the story of your design. So as we go through this part of the webinar today, we'll talk about fonts, we'll talk about colors, and we'll talk about images. So feel free at any time to suggest questions, or if you have questions, please type them in the chat, type them as a question. I would love to answer your questions today. So let's get started with fonts. Choosing fonts. So this is the basics of fonts. A serif font is a typeface that has small decorative edges. I like calling them flags for some reason at the end of letters. So these typefaces have, they're more sophisticated. They're often used for longer copy, longer text that you need to read. So those flags or decorative edges kind of draw the eye along as you're reading them. So that's a lot of the reason why people want written papers in Times New Roman, because that is a serif font and it's really easy to read. A sans serif font does not have those flags or strokes or spurs at the end of the letters. So sans serif, those are very modern feeling. It's very strong. They're considered easy to read. They are also make great partners when applied in different weights. So as you see in the red area of this image, the title on there is a sans serif, but there's also a sans serif underneath that makes a good partner for there. And lastly, the bottom left is a script font, which mimics the stroke of a paintbrush, and it often links letters together like you'd see in cursive handwriting. Applying script fonts, it kind of adds an edge to your design, creates it a little more dynamic, a little more interesting, and they're often paired with sans serif fonts to create a good partnership. So when you're looking for terms, letter spacing, also called tracking, is the space between letters. So in that image, the word letter, there are more space in between the words in the word letter than there are in the word spacing. So what the designer was trying here is to line up the ends of each word together, but leaving more space in the top. So you can fill empty space. You can elongate shorter words. So you see those flush lines between the heading and the subheading. Line height then is the distance between baseline to baseline. So you can see in the green image, at the bottom of the word height is where kind of a shaded area starts. The height of a line goes from the baseline, so the bottom of those letters, all the way up to where the top of that grayish colored box is, right underneath the word line. So if you increase the line height, you increase the space in between that it would take. So it's also called leading. Changing this space, you can make your type more legible, and it says provide breathing room. If you have a lot of copy, a lot of text, it provides room for it to breathe. So when you're choosing fonts, you want to consider what style you're using. So if you want to select the right font for your design or brand, you put thought into it. Keep in mind that your font should embody the character and spirit of your brand, as you see in these examples here. You'll see that the Walt Disney script is magical and whimsical, things we should think about when we think about Disney. Toys R Us, playful and fun. Beauty Company, L'Oreal, stylish and sleek. You'll see the sans serif there. And IKEA is very bold. It's strong. Reliability. So the font that you choose has a lot to do with emphasizing your message, and that's what you want to choose when you're sending out your brand. So the examples here, the word strong, this is a font called Ultra. The word elegant is a font called Pinion Script. The handmade is a font called School Bell. The simple font is Arimo or Arimo. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but the cute font is called Sniglet, and the word refined is a font called Quattrocentro. So there are so many options for fonts out there, and you will see multiple kinds of fonts as you start designing in Canva. And all throughout the web. I mean, the selections that you have in Canva are really, really good for this free web-based tool. So what are some things that you need to think about when you choose a font? First of all, you want to make sure that it's readable. I would say that the right-hand side here is much more readable than the left-hand side. Although the left-hand side, those are cool fonts, it is not as readable as the right-hand side is. So one of the things that you have to remember as you are creating your designs, you want to avoid the script fonts for blocks of text, especially when you're using it for longer bodies of text. Avoiding the script fonts or uppercase, and those two things really strain readers' eyes and makes it harder to read if you're using the script fonts. So you want to save the script or uppercase text for titles or headings or things that you really want to be able to stand out. So in the example, the quote on the left is in the font Engagement, and then on the right it's in a more readable font called Open Sans. It's also important when you are choosing fonts to create a hierarchy. So as I was saying, you want the thing that's going to draw the most attention in the biggest font, the largest size, the heaviest weight. So this full-bodied title, the title should definitely be the largest thing on the page. It should immediately grab the attention of the viewer, and once the attention of the viewer is grabbed, then you can move in and look more closely and read the body text. So you can see that they've used heavy, so like a bold feature, and a size 42 as the title. So all three of these are still the same font. They're just in different sizes and weights. So the subtitle, size 21, that's kind of a normal weight. It's not bolded. And in the body, they have size 18, but also a thin weight. So it's smaller. But as the viewer looks at the image, your eye is definitely drawn to the title. And once you're drawn to it, you'll want to look in more and see the different information that's there. All right, creating contrast is also important. It's one of those things that we've talked about in some of the conversations I've had with people. Creating contrast gives an image more interest. You pair fonts that will take your design to the next level, because everybody has seen the signs made with Comic Sans, because the teacher thinks it's cute. Please avoid Comic Sans. Please, please, please avoid Comic Sans. There are so many better options out there. It just makes your designs look so much more professional when you're using fonts that draw the eye and makes it visually interesting. So in the example, Sculpture is in the font Railway Heavy, and Sessions is in the font Railway Regular. So as we talked about in the previous slide, they're the same font, so they have the same build of how the letters look, but different weights. So the different weights make it more visually interesting. In the second example, they use a script font for the title and a sans serif. Remember, we talked about how they go well together. So the word creatives is in the font Yellowtail, and you can see how it's kind of rotated a little bit to the left, so it draws that eye across. And then the cool crafting ideas is in that Railway font again. So it shows you a difference in between to make it more visually interesting. Fonts can also be used paired up to create emphasis on different points. You can use a serif font, but maybe use one part regular and the other part italics, or a sans serif font with a serif italics. So in the first example, the book cover there, The Mist That Falls at Night, the font there is called Libre Baskerville, and the title is regular, but you can tell that the spacing is kind of pulled apart a little bit, so there's more space in between the letters, and it's paired with Libre Baskerville, but in italics. The chilling characters, it's smaller. and then the italics is used as the quote. And then you can see at the bottom of the image, they've used it all in all capital letters to kind of make that part stand out too. But you can see that the way they use the colors also, they've used a lighter text color over the darker parts of the image. That's one thing that I keep seeing in other designs too, is that sometimes when you put dark text over a dark part of an image, it's really hard to see. So if the title text there was in a black or a dark blue, you would really struggle to read that. So the designer there has selected that text and made it white, so it stands out against that darker part of the background, but it also flows with the white space that's in the top and bottom of the background image. The second example here, I really like how the pop bottle or soda bottle is on the left side of the image, and you don't even see the whole thing. And the straw draws your eye from the top to the bottom of the image. So the soda pop text there is Roboto condensed, and it's also bold. And the word specials is that Libra Baskerville font again in italics. And then you can see that they repeated the first font again in the soda-popspecials.com website link at the bottom of the image. So you can see how the text size and the spacing of it draws your eye right down to that URL at the bottom. So that was a conscious choice probably made by the designer to say, okay, the straw is drawing visual interest downward towards the bottle, but then contrasting angle is this line that runs along the side of the text and pointing down to the URL at the bottom. The other thing that fonts are really good at doing is demanding the viewer's attention. So you can focus the specific elements in your design by using the spacing and pairing that condensed text with a text that's more breathable and mildly spaced. So you can see that the word towers in here draws your attention right away. Not only does it stand out in a blazing yellow color against a grayscale image, but they've smushed it so the spacing is really close together and it's very tall, which goes really great with the towers that are in the image, and it's what you're trying to get people to think about, tall and thin. So the word towers, they've reduced the text spacing and made them pretty close together. And on top of that, they've increased the text spacing to make the greater line up with the edges of the word towers, but also have increased the space between those letters so that it gives a more breathable feel. So you have the word towers, which is kind of intense and tall and straight and skinny, but you have the greater, which is more open and breathable, and then underneath the building foundry and the established in 1924, that's more normal. You have a normal base. So let's see, these fonts are called Josephine Sans is for the greater. Towers is all capitals, and they have given it less spacing. I believe this one is Oswald, and Oswald is also for building foundry. Arranging your fonts in different sizes and fonts or sizes and types of fonts are great, and you can also make impact based on how they are aligned as well. So with Canva, you can align your fonts left, center, or right. You just click on the element and there's an arrow on the right side that allows you to open up a menu that allow you to change the alignment. Just like in that soda pop image a couple slides ago, it depends on how you want to draw your viewers' eyes, how you want them to look at the image. These are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just going to keep on going here. spacing is a big thing that we've been talking about. So the way that you can use spacing, it can create balance with all the text elements in your design. So in this example, they've taken acrylic bar and spaced them so it's from start to finish. So the end of the line is, or the title is aligned then with the subtitle, paint, brushes, charcoal, and canvas. So they've made sure that the spacing in the title has lined up exactly with those two, the start and the end of that area. So, and together they create that complete unit that it feels balanced and centered in that image. And so the brush stroke in between provides separation. And then they have the same font for the URL on the bottom, which is where they eventually want your eye to go. It's kind of like a funnel. So you see the top part together, the line and the URL kind of line up as far as length go too. So when you're looking at the text elements in there, it's kind of almost like a capital T. The title and the subtitle are the top bar of the T, and the brush stroke and the URL make that bottom standing part. It draws your eye downward, so you're like, okay, I'm going to remember that URL and go to there. And so you want your image to have balance too. You don't want to have things just placed all over the place where your viewer is going to feel confused, or you want to consciously think about, okay, how are they going to look at this? If they're looking at it on, say, a mobile device, is the title going to stand out as much as I want? Are they going to be able to read what's there that I want them to go? I mean, someone can look this over and say, oh yeah, that's really neat. And then if it's too small, they're not going to be able to see that URL on the bottom. And then this business is not going to get any traffic to their website, which I believe is probably their ultimate goal in getting people to look at this. Okay, so if anybody has any questions on fonts, I don't see anything in the chat, so we're going to keep on going here into colors. Okay, so choosing colors is, oops, too far. There we go. Choosing colors is also really important. So this color wheel that we have here, you can find in your toolbar. Whenever you click on an element in Canva, you can change the color. So this color wheel is a visual representation of more than 16 million different hues arranged in a circle. So this tool is foundational to understanding the color relationships between primary colors, secondary colors, complementary colors, and you can use this to create countless combinations of unique color palettes. So you can see the three circles on this color wheel, and on the right side of the slide, you'll see three different things called hex codes. Hex codes are six-digit numbers, and they're used to represent a single color. And each six-digit number or combination of numbers and letters is composed of three groups of two. So in the first hex code, you have 00, you have FF, and you have D5. So what those stand for are the levels of red, green, and blue that are present in that particular color. So in the first example, so we have 00 of red, so we have no red. We have FF of green, which is full green, and D5 level of blue. So you can see it's more of a bluey green color. The second example, so we have 63 for red, FF of green, and 82 for blue. And the last one, you have FF of red, 46 of green, and A4 of blue. So you can, if you find a color that you really like, there are some Google Chrome extensions out there. I'm not sure what browser you use, but there's a Google Chrome extension that I really like called, I believe it's Eyedropper, or is it Color Picker? I've used them both, where you can click on a particular area in a web page, and it will give you the hex code of that number. So if you have a color that you really like, you can hover your mouse over a particular part and grab the hex code and then bring that back into Canva and select that color in your design. There are multiple websites out there that will give you hex codes of particular colors and their names. So if you're interested in really if you're branding yourself and you want to have a specific palette of colors, you will use that exact hex code every time to keep consistent. So speaking of branding, when you choose a color, a lot of emotion can be conveyed through your particular colors that you're choosing. Cooler colors, greens, blues, and purples, they're on the left side of the color wheel. They're calming, they're soothing, and that's in opposition to the right side of the color wheel, which is excitement and passion and energy, vibrancy. Those are things, depending on what your brand is, you could either want to promote, calm and soothing, or really exciting and passionate. So when you use the Canva color wheel, there is a gradient bar at the bottom that will allow you to adjust the hue of the color that you picked. So as you can see, these 3 different hues of this same color, they'll have a different hex code based on the amount of black that is added. That'll give you lightness or darkness that you can choose to create a palette for your work. So if you're choosing a palette that you want to use for your particular design, analogous colors, they're located next to each other on the color wheel. So all of these 4 colors that have been chosen, you can see, are all on that warm side, and they're one in order with each other. So these colors, they're often found in nature, like during fall when the leaves change color, depending on where you are. This is creating kind of a red, yellow, orange color scheme. It feels balanced, it's pleasing to the eye, and when you use them in combination, they're providing kind of low contrast with each other. It's providing a harmony to the eye as you're looking through it. The other way that you can also create a color relationship is through monochrome. As you can see, the circles in the color wheel here are all in one line. It's a dark, medium, and light version or saturation of the same color. So these different hues are created by adding white or black to a particular color. So if you're using acrylic paints and you have a blue that you want to make a tint of, you add a little bit of blue to white. If you want to make a shade, you add a little bit of black to your blue. So because all of these are derived from the same color, it provides really a cohesion as you're looking at it, because they're all just the same color. There's just a light and a medium and a dark. One of the other things that you can use when you're looking with color is using complementary colors. So it creates the most amount of contrast with each other. Complementary colors are on the opposite sides of the color wheel. So you have one warm color and one cool color. So in this example, you have your purple and your yellow, which are on opposite sides. They're best used when you're trying to draw attention to a particular element. So really those leaves in this example pop out because they're against that opposite colored dark background. It's not as useful in designs that that you're going to be looking at for an extended period of time, like a presentation or a document that has a lot of text in it. It tires the eyes more. This is mainly for attention getting. For example, I'll have to just say this because it's me. for my wedding, we used kind of a teal color blue and an orange. Our flowers were orange because I love tiger lilies. So all my bridesmaids had the complementary color for their dresses, which I thought looked way better than an orange dress, by the way. So complementary colors meant to give that visual pop, give that visual contrast, but not so much used for long things that you're going to be looking at for a long, long time. So when you're using these colors, you can create your own color palette. The nice thing in Canva is that a lot of their pre-made designs already have this color palette made for you. So when you are creating, for example, this "Sorry, we're closed" sign, the word "closed" has that single vibrant color that highlights the most important element, because you want people to realize, hey, we're closed. So that draws your eye right to it. And then the white and black are kind of in the background. You don't notice them as much. From far away, you could definitely say, yes, they are closed. I can see that. To maintain the visual focus, you want to kind of limit your color palette to just 4 colors. You don't want to have things that are overboard, I guess. It creates disarray, I guess I'll say. When you limit it to, say, 4 or fewer, then you have that visual appeal where your eye just says, okay, I'm looking at one thing. This all goes together, and I can tell how it really works. Obviously, then the last one here, you want to choose colors that are appropriate to your subject. In this whole grain goodness example, they used rich brown and autumn gold, and then use that white to stand out against the dark. You wouldn't want to use this, for I don't know, a beach party or something. This color palette just doesn't fit as far as what you think and feel when you're going through something that is earthy and whole grain like this. The colors just go with what you're trying to shoot for. All right, so that is color palettes. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to pop those in the question box or write a comment in the chat box if you have any questions on colors, and I'll keep an eye out for those. And if I don't see anything going through, we're gonna keep on going in our last 15 minutes here with images. Not seeing anything in the chat. No questions popping up. Fantastic. That means you guys are getting this and you're going to be awesome with it. All right, let's move on to images. All right, so I talked a little bit before about how Canva has grids and things to use. So the way that you can use grids and frames in Canva, they hold your images. Once you've placed your image in the frame, it allows you to resize that image larger or smaller. So you can make room for any text that you want to put in the image, or you want to make sure that the visual interest is going to where you want it. So you can see that in these images, you can either size it down and keep the same amount of space. You can crop out different parts of your images, and easy to do by using the grids that Canva gives you. So resizing the images in your grids is important because it gives you focus. In this example, you can see that resizing the image in the grid, it instead of giving you that broad overview, it really gets in there and you can see the texture and you can see the frosting on those cupcakes. Kathy, I'd love to see your question. Where are the grids? When you click on, I believe, let me grab this quick. When you click on the elements, yep, so on the left side of your screen in Canva, There's one of the tools is the elements, and then the top center is grids. So you can see all sorts of different layouts that'll give you options of how to put your pictures in there. Hope that answers your question. Awesome. Way to go. So if you put your image in there and you can zoom in on it, you can create different focus for your image. I like the right-hand image better because not only does it give you that close-up of that cupcake, you can totally see the texture, and you can imagine just biting into that and it being sweet and delicate. So as you put your images in your frames, you can resize it and make it and bring the focus where you really want to see it. Another thing that Canva has, and very similar to what you would use in Instagram, are these filters. You can change your images so that they are crisp and clean, and you can adjust brightness, contrast, saturation. You can enhance or change the colors of an image so that it kind of fits what you're looking for. In the image on the left, the colors are a little softer. They're more muted. They're not as vibrant. And on the right, they increase the brightness and contrast and saturation. It creates that greater contrast between the red and the greens. And ultimately, I think it makes the fruit look crisp, brighter, more visually appealing. The only thing I don't like about that right-hand image is that the background has kind of changed to a little yellowy. You'd have to figure out how to exactly tool that to where you want it to be to change that so it looks like looks how you want it, I guess. So as far as filters go, you can use them to kind of create a mood about your image too. On the left, that image there, they're very sharp and clear. I'm not sure if that's how the image came out from the photographer, but it's very colorful, especially the house on the right. So what they did to that image then in the right, they've applied a filter. It's called Whimsical, and it kind of makes you more nostalgic or warmer, a more timeless feel. So what I will encourage then with filters is that you would create kind of a consistent look. If you use a filter, you want to kind of apply the same thing to all the graphics in your image. So if you're using a grid and you're putting in different pictures and putting a filter on one of them, you'll probably want to put that same filter on all of them so you can stay consistent in the feel of how your overall thing is going to look. So if you often use photos in your materials, like your blog or pictures that you're making, especially as far as brand consistency goes, you might want to use the same kind of filter as you go through to create that cohesive feel. So a strong brand would do that. Make sure that they maintain that consistency in their look and feel. It just reinforces that they'll be able to recognize, like if you see a particular image, you say, yes, I know that is that business's way that they put out graphics. Yeah, and that is the last of my slides. So I'm going to change my screen share here a little bit. And I thought I would, let's see, go in and show you a little bit show you the image I made to promote this webinar. Let me just open it up quick. Change my screen share here. There I am. Forgive me, this is the first time I've used this webinar software. So if I go to Thanks, Kathy. I appreciate your compliment. Okay, here I'm going to share my Canva screen here. We'll go back there. So this is the design I made for this workshop. And essentially what I did is I used a layout that had just text in the middle and a photo in the background. I didn't really like any of the photos that they had as far as kind of thinking computer and webinar. So I went on Pixabay and I found this image of the computers at the desk, and I thought it was pretty clean. And all I did to it was made it, I applied a filter. So I can click on the picture and then click the filter button, and it'll give me all sorts of different filters. So depending on how I want it to look, I could even make it green if I really wanted. I don't really like that, but the option is there. So you can change it to look how you want. And then I added this square thing just to kind of bring visual interest or visual to my text. And then I had the title and date, because those were, I think, were the two most important things that I wanted people to know. And then underneath, I put the URL to how to register for the webinar. And I always added my little created by on the bottom, just because I like to have that on there in case anybody likes what I have made and they want to get in contact with me. So that's just a kind of sneak, really, really fast peek at how I put together the promotional things for this webinar. Okay, so, yep, Pixabay. I will type that in the chat. Pixabay. It's .com. All right, and then that you can get all sorts of public domain images free to use. I will put a little word of warning when you're working on it with students. Not everything on there is completely safe for work. I mean, there's nothing that's like extremely terrible. There's no nudity or anything, but as you're looking there, just I would say keep an eye open and warn the kids that if they come across anything unsavory, they should just close it. Any other questions that you guys have for me before we're done? Our hour is almost up. Yes, Kathy has a question about the grid again. No worries. Let me, do you have anything specific, like which one you would pick, or you can make one image smaller than another? I believe so. Some of the materials that I have from the design school, they sometimes mix up what is the grid and what is a frame. So maybe inside the frames they were talking about how to make things bigger and smaller. I will encourage you to just, I know it sounds kind of silly, just play around. And if you would want maybe sometime, something about zooming. Yes, that was the cupcake thing. Let me see. I'll go ahead and share and make a split screen here. Okay, so if I go into elements, so they both have grids and frames. Grids, I think you just put your images in. So I just click on this to open it up, and if I want to close it, I can click on it again. So I'll click frames, and let's see. Let's try this one with two different things. So drag a photo in here or upload your own. I'm going to go to, let's see. Okay, so if I click on this now, so if I double click on the image, I can move it up or down. Can I make it smaller? No. So if I just wanted our faces in there, I can move it around. Maybe if the image was bigger, to have a bigger one. Let's see. You guys get to see all my pretty pictures. I'll pull in the computer one. So if I double click on it, I can move it around. Can I zoom in? Oh yeah. So if I just make this image bigger by dragging the corners, I can zoom in on the more important features. So if I wanted to get this bear right in the middle, just make it bigger, and then check mark, and then that'll let you see. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. Yes, Shelly, I know I had to use it. It's a good one. It's good times. All right. So thank you so much. Oop, I have one more. I have my contact information that I want to put up. Oh, see, this is me being unprofessional again. I should have had that open still. I'll get there, I promise. Oop. Oh, and now it's going to go away. Oh, there it is. All right. So my contact information, if you want it, I am on Twitter and Voxer at @Pierson.edu. I would love to have a conversation with you about how to implement this in your classroom, how to get your students to be working in Canva, or how to use Canva for yourself. Also, I have a website/blog at learnforalifetime.com. I'll put in a plug there and say that I do have a blog post forthcoming about some of the different graphic design tools that we can use that are out there. That will be hopefully up by the end of this week. I'm still working on that to get my thoughts out in text. So thank you so much for spending an hour with me today. I really appreciate all of you taking your time out. And let me know if you could give me any feedback. That would be awesome. And I will look forward to having more time with you in the future. If you like this, I would love suggestions on things that you want to learn more about. And I will hopefully see you online sometime in the future. Have a great day, everybody.